Hi there, Smart Driver. Talking to you today about road trips and navigation, finding your way when you don't know where you're going and you have to follow the GPS on your phone or in your vehicle or whatnot. Tips, strategies, and information to keep yourself safe and get to your destination with the least amount of fuss. Highway driving and road trips. So driving on highways, driving in cities that you haven't been to, and long road trips. And these are awesome fun, and driving in other countries in the world is a tremendous experience. Driving in Australia, South Africa, Japan, driving in Europe, anywhere in Europe is just phenomenal, and it is different. And I can recall when I came out of the car park in Barcelona thinking to myself, wow, these roads, these ramps out of the car park were really, really narrow. And there's no doubt in my mind that road tests for young people in Europe are more demanding than they are in North America. I mean, first and foremost, most young people in Europe are learning to drive manual transmissions in addition to the smaller road spaces and parking spaces for vehicles. Now, mind you, cars are smaller in Europe, but still, the roadways also are smaller, and there's, it's more challenging for sure to get your license in Europe than it is in North America. So highway driving and road trips, good stuff to have a look at. Freeway driving tips to keep yourself safe on the freeway. 3 to 4 second following distance. I cannot emphasize this enough on interstates. Looking far down the road, anticipating traffic patterns, and interpreting what individual road users are doing on highways and interstates. In addition to that, drive in the spaces between the clusters. And if traffic slows down and it's moving at a crawl, always be able to see the tires of the vehicle in front, making clear contact with the road surface. Car care and maintenance, look at that podcast. You can find the Smarter Driver podcast over at Apple, Spotify, any other of the places where you look for podcasts. All of that is available, and you can have a look at that and listen to that in your car, or listen to that while you're riding your electric bicycle and keeping yourself safe and whatnot. So that is available as well. First thing you need to do before you take off, and this is something I'm going to do for my 5-hour jaunt over to Canmore on Thursday, is I put the car in the garage because it's level and I can check the oil. Now, a number of high-end cars and modern cars, probably anything after 2015, is all going to have this in the telematics inside the car. So make sure you check your oil, check all of your fluids. So pop the hood, have a look, make sure your brake fluid is topped up, your windshield washer fluid, your radiator fluid. If you have a hydraulic clutch on your vehicle, make sure that that is topped up as well. Some of the newer vehicles, you watch this video with Rich Demand here. You can't look. The vehicle that we're looking at is a Ford, and I can't remember what it's called. It doesn't have a cap on the radiator, so you can't open the radiator and look in it. He had a name for it. I can't remember what it was, but look at the video. So the way that you check the cooling fluid, the coolant in the vehicle, is the reservoir. You make sure that the reservoir, there's a low and a high mark on the reservoir, and make sure that there's enough coolant in it. As well, just make sure there isn't any damage under the hood, there aren't any loose wires, there's hoses that aren't leaking, there's no fluid dripping down and those types of things. So underneath the hood, make sure there isn't any body damage. Check the lights on your vehicle, make sure your signals work, your backup lights, your brake lights, license plate lights, your parking lights, all of the lights work on the vehicle. Windshield wipers, your windshield washer fluid works and squirts. As I said, most newer vehicles are going to have checking the engine oil inside the vehicle. In addition to that, the tire monitoring pressure system. So they're going to tell you whether your tires are low or those types of things. The old buggy doesn't have any of that, so I have to actually get out a physical tire gauge and check the tires, and I make sure that they're up to pressure. And it's always a good thing. Don't assume that if you go to a tire shop and get new tires on your vehicle that they're working properly. As I said, I just got new tires a month or so ago on the buggy. Came home and I drove to Victoria, and as I do, I always check the tire pressure before I go, and one of the tires had a slow leak in it, so it was down on pressure. So check that, check your tires before you leave. Check your wipers, your wiper blades, make sure those are good in case the weather changes, you get snow as we're getting right now in the mountains and whatnot, and windshield washer fluid topped up, those types of things. Okay, if you're unsure about anything, or you have a check engine light on, or something needs to be repaired, take it to a mechanic and get it fixed before you take off, because you don't want to break down on the side of the road. So do your vehicle preparation. And in keeping with the video that I putting up tomorrow about finding a mechanic, finding a good auto shop to do repairs on your vehicle, you know, check the simple things first. Check all your fluid levels and whatnot, because you don't want to break down on the side of the road, and you don't want to have to get your vehicle repaired while you're away on the road. You want to do that at home. Okay, navigation, we talked a lot about this in the introduction. Take a moment, do some work, look at Google Maps, put the information on your phone, check your own phone, figure out which major roads you're going to be driving on. If you look at the signs and do some research, check the sites for construction, check weather channels and those types of things to figure out weather, because I know a lot of people get really upset if they get into snow or those types of things. So check the weather before you leave, so you know that what you potentially could encounter while you're driving on the roadways. And in addition to that, if you're traveling in the wintertime, you want a winter survival kit in your vehicle, blankets, whatnot, food, coolers, drinks, any medication that you need to take. Make sure that you bring sunglasses, prescription glasses for driving, all those things that you potentially could need in addition to navigation. Okay, get help. If there's two of you in the vehicle and you're taking turns driving, one person is navigating, the other person is driving. Plan your breaks. Okay, every couple hours you want to plan a break when you're driving on long trips and whatnot. Children, especially, planning breaks is important. You want to be able to get out somewhere where there's a park. If you're traveling with pets, animals, dogs, some people travel with their cats, you want to have a place where you can take them for a walk, get them out, spend a half an hour, 45 minutes, you know, get some snacks and whatnot. You don't want to eat a lot while you're driving, because it makes you really sleepy and tired and lethargic, and you want to stay alert while you're driving. If you get lost, stop and look for directions. This is what we did when we were in Australia and we got lost in Sydney on the way out of the airport to Goulburn. I pulled over, we finally figured it out in the GPS, and then we got going again. We got back out on the highway and went to where we needed to go. If you're traveling with children, make sure that you have activities booked for in the car that they can listen to audiobooks. There's a lot of books, children's books, that you can go to the library, get the actual physical book, and then there's a audiobook on the stereo that you can play through the car's entertainment system. Some minivans and whatnot. My mom's minivan, her Pontiac Montana that we bought for her 2 or 3 years ago, actually has a DVD player in it, and they can watch movies while you're going down the road and whatnot. Games, accessibility to drinks and food and those types of things, snacks and whatnot. When my kids were younger, they used to have a lot of snacks and whatnot. I wasn't very good at the garbage bag, and I realized at the end of the trip that the footwells in the back of the car were absolutely filled with wrappers and discarded apple cores and those types of things. So there was a lot of cleaning up to do after we got home. One trip in particular, we went to Enumclaw to shoot the video with Jen. Corey, put that video up for you. She has low eyesight, and I was going down to help her out in preparation for her license test. She passed, and we shot a video on that to help other people out who have low vision. But you know, the kids were in the back. We listened to an audiobook, and it's become one of our traditions in the family that every time we go on along, we always listen to Sidekicks in the car. And that's where it started, was going to Enumclaw to shoot that video with Jen. Okay, preparation, food, drinks, and pets in the vehicle. Are pets going to be loose in the vehicle, or are they going to stay in a crate? I do encourage you, if you do have pets, you do have a dog, that you do crate train them. There's a lot of benefits that you will figure out later as they get older or they get sick. Having them crate trained, you can put them in the crate as an infirmary and keep them contained so that the vomit, the poop isn't everywhere in the car and other places. So crate train your pet. Have a cooler, have it accessible, have, you know, chips, snacks, rice cakes, whatever you got for food, have it accessible in the car that people can get a hold of it and whatnot. If you got 2 kids in the back and the snacks are in the middle there, or access to the cooler in the back and whatnot, where drinks, where's water, whatnot. And of course, all of this is going to coincide with your breaks that you planned as part of your navigation before you left. Assign roles. If you're with somebody else and they're going to do the navigation, when I'm traveling with my son, he looks after the radio stations. He does everything on the telematics. He figures out the GPS and those types of things. That was his role because his sister just wanted to sit in the back and read her book while we were driving along on long distances. blankets and pillows for people to be able to go to sleep, prescription medications, charging cable for your phone, and know the effects of prescription medications. I've talked about this before, that people who are inebriated when driving or drowsy or those types of things are usually drowsy from over-the-counter medications and prescription medications. It's not illegal drugs and marijuana and booze and those types of things. Many people are inebriated from over-the-counter medication and prescription drugs. All right, cruise control. Use cruise control on the highways, and many newer vehicles, anything from kind of 2020 to now, will all have adaptive cruise control, which you can set the spacing between your vehicle and other vehicles, and the space will take priority over the set speed on the adaptive cruise control. So you can set it at 2 seconds, 4 seconds, and 6 seconds. I do counsel you to set it at 4 seconds minimum. And you do need to kind of pay attention with adaptive cruise control, because you'll get behind other vehicles and they're doing 20 kilometers an hour below the speed limit. And then all of a sudden the car slows down 20 kilometers an hour below the posted speed limit because it's maintaining that space, when in fact you just need to get out and pass the vehicle in front. So you do need to pay attention a little bit. Lane assist, in addition to adaptive cruise control, is about as close as self-driving car as you will get. And you know, it will work. So you can do that, and you can reduce a lot of distraction and fatigue when you're driving. I don't have adaptive cruise control on the old buggy, but I do have cruise control, and I use it a lot because, as I said, I can focus on what's going on out the window, and I can be interpreting traffic patterns, and I can be predicting the actions of individual road users when I'm driving along the highway. And it allows me to respond accordingly to what's going on. And I can drive for very long distances on a multi-lane road and never come off cruise control. The added benefit to that is it will improve fuel economy by about 15 to 20%. So there's that added bonus in addition to reducing fatigues and distractions with cruise control. Night driving. We talked about this last week in detail, and Corey will put that video up for you as well. The only cure for being tired, being sleepy, is getting some rest. Sleepy drivers rest in pieces. Know that you have to get some sleep. Some smart drivers over the years have come back and said to me, well, you can't sleep in a pickle park because the police will harass you, or you can't sleep in a parking lot or whatnot. Police are not going to harass you if you're sleeping in a car. They're not going to come up and bang on your window unless they suspect something nefarious is afoot. You know, most of the time they're just looking for safety, and they have other things to do. And probably a lot of police officers are getting sleep themselves if it's 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They're not out haranguing you to get up and move along and those types of things. Once in the 1990s, I was parked in a hotel parking lot with the big truck. It's a big truck. It's not a car, right? And I was sleeping, and 3 guys came out and were banging on the door and telling me I had to leave. And I was like, okay, I'm going to leave. And the one guy was like, roll down the window so we can talk to you. And I'm like, no, I'm not rolling down the window. There's 3 of you and 1 of me. I'll just move. I'm going to put my pants on. I'll move the truck. So it's not going to happen, okay? And you're a lot safer in a rest area or someplace like that sleeping than you are out on the highways and trying to move through the driving, despite, you know, what everybody says. I know there are people, nurses and other night workers, service workers and whatnot, that you have to drive through fatigue and whatnot. It does happen, but if you can get some sleep, it's going to be better for you. Okay, plan your breaks every couple hours. Plan your breaks when you're planning, when you're looking at Google Maps. Figure out places that you can stop. When we didn't go in the usual way that I usually went when I drove the bus, which was one of the big Merino, the Ram, that's intact. I keep saying that. It was hilarious because there was a woman taking a picture of the big Merino, the Ram, framing the intact Ram. So yes, restaurants, and we ended up downtown, which was nice because we got a pie, and of course pies are big deals in Australia. And then, you know, I hadn't been in Australia for 17, 18 years, and the woman asked us when we got pies if we wanted sauce. And I'm, you know, my brain is like, it's like the Rolodex, the old Rolodex. I'm flipping through the Rolodex. I'm like, what's sauce? What's sauce? And then finally I realized that it was ketchup. Sauce in Australia is ketchup. And we're like, yeah, we want ketchup. We want sauce for our pies. Comfort in clothing. Okay, take off jackets. Make sure that you're comfortable when you're sitting in the car. I wouldn't wear shorts, especially if you have a vehicle that has leather seats, because you stick to the leather seats, but wear something comfortable. Wear jeans, loose-fitting clothing, tracky dacks, those types of things. Have emergency clothes in the vehicle in case you spill your coffee. That has happened to me over the years where coffee has spilled in the nether regions, and you're fighting with some ferocity and profanity to not swerve off the road. Things are baking. All right, back supports. If you need some sort of lumbar support in the vehicle and the seat doesn't do that for you, then have those as well. Accessibility to CDs for those of us who have older stereo systems in the vehicle. Have all your podcasts set up on your phone so that you don't have to be looking after your phone and going through those things and whatnot. Okay, medications, water, and glasses, sunglasses and prescription glasses as well. And if you're a fan of night driving glasses and whatnot, have all those things available in the vehicle. Okay, emergency stops and breakdowns. If the vehicle does break down, please do not stop on the side of the road. We talked about this some weeks ago in terms of distracted driving crashes in the United States, drink driving crashes. There are 13,000 fatalities related to drinking and driving in the United States of America. Distracted driving contributes to about 3,000 of the 40,000 fatal crashes in the United States of America. Sitting duck crashes are about 12,000 in the United States of America. So that means that there is a vehicle parked on the side of the road and another vehicle driving along the highway runs into that. There are the equal number of sitting duck crashes as there are drinking and driving crashes in the United States of America. So that gives you some indication of how dangerous it is to be sitting on the side of a roadway, a highway, a freeway. In addition to that, not only the statistics and the number of fatal crashes that happen in the United States every year, move over laws that have been implemented in the last 20 years in the United States of America and Canada for emergency vehicles, service workers, those types of things along the roadways, because it is so dangerous to be on the side of the roadway. So don't be there. If you have a flat tire and it's only 2 miles up to the next exit to get off and out into a gas station parking lot or those types of things, limp the vehicle up there. Do not change the tire on the side of the road. It is far too dangerous. Okay, if you have children in the vehicle that are still in diapers and you have an exploding diaper, okay, the side of the road is not the place to be changing that diaper. As I said previously, in terms of driving, 3 to 4 times in your career you will crash. So that means that for 15 to 17 years you're going to go along just fine and nothing's going to happen, and then one day it's going to come to bite you in the ass. So your children pulling over on the side of the road, those types of things will go along for a very long period of time, and then one day you end up in a crash. It comes back to bite you in the ass. So please do not stop on the side of the road unless it is absolute dire emergency. Okay? Have a survival kit in the vehicle as well. And Corey will put up the video for you on a winter survival kit, things that should go in that survival kit that will help you out. Good luck in your driver's test. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Staying at a hotel, make your reservation ahead of time. Also make sure that the hotel has a swimming pool. Don't stay in a motel. And exactly what Elevator Fan was saying, excellent point. Thank you for reminding me of that because I didn't put it in the slide presentation. I will need to add that point. Yes, make sure that you book your hotels in the summertime at least 2 weeks out. 2021, I want to say, was the year that we drove to Ontario from British Columbia, which is 2,500 miles, 4,000 kilometers. And I sat down on the way back and I booked all the hotels 10 days in advance to come back across Canada. We were in Calgary, and I had booked a hotel in Calgary with a swimming pool, as Elevator Fan just said. And I was in there, and there was a gentleman who was making an inquiry with the reception, with the staff, asking if they had a room for the night because he'd been to 12 other hotels and there was nothing available. Know that, and that you do need to book in advance. And of course, Google Maps will be able to help you with that. Know that for the average person on a long road trip, so say 2,000, 3,000 miles, okay, you're going a very long distance. For example, like me driving from British Columbia to Ontario through the United States of America, 400 or 500 miles a day is a lot for one person. It's a lot, right? And when I drove 2 years ago across to Ontario through the United States, and it's, as I said, 2,800 miles, I did say 25, but it's 2,800 miles. It's 4,000 kilometers. I did it in 5 days by myself. 5 days by myself was a push. Like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of driving. It's 10, 12 hours a day in the car driving. So know that if you're going on a very long road trip by yourself, that 400 or 500 miles a day, 500, 600 miles a day, you're in the car for a very long time, 10, 12 hours. Excellent point, Marion, about asking about tools. Just make sure that you go through the vehicle and know where the jack is, know where the spare tire is, and know where the lug nut wrench is for the lug nuts, because you don't want to get somewhere, you're way out in the middle of nowhere and you get a flat tire and you have to change the tire because you're going to wait 2 or 3 hours for AAA or CAA or BCAA to come along. That's the Automobile Association of America, the Canadian Automobile Association, the British Columbia Automobile Association. So whatever automobile association or roadside assistance that you're going to have, that they're going to be 2 or 3 hours, that you want to know how to change the tire. And if you haven't done it before, I would suggest a dry run in your driveway or wherever you're parked, that you know, there's a video here, Corey will put that up for you on how to change a flat tire. Just know how to do it, right? And then when you get on the side of the road, you know, and you have to change the tire, you know how to do it and you know where to locate everything. Because if you have a Dodge Ram pickup truck, they're up underneath the box on kind of a line, a winch line that you have to crank down. So it's always good to make sure that that works. And those pickup trucks that have the spare tire up underneath the box, or you have a minivan and it's up underneath the body of it, they're filthy. So going back to what Marion was asking about tools in the vehicle, make sure that you have a pair of gloves in your vehicle as well. In addition to that, for those of you who don't like the smell of diesel fuel or don't like the smell of gasoline, you can put gloves on to pump fuel into your car, and that way your hands don't get dirty, right? Most of us just go into the fuel station and go into the bathroom and wash our hands before we get back in the car. The other piece with hotels, booking hotels, making sure that they are wheelchair accessible, getting reservations and whatnot. Parking. This is the other piece that you may want to consider. When we were in Sydney, we went from the airport hotel down to the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Opera House, which is, you know, the famous landmarks in Sydney, Australia that you'll always see in any movie that you know that you're in Australia, because there's the Sydney Harbour, the bridge, and the Opera House. And so, of course, we're in Sydney and I wanted to take the kids to see the bridge, see the Opera House, and didn't think about it. And of course, I didn't check any of this out, didn't even think about it. We drove down, went across the Sydney Harbour Bridge, turned around, came back, figured out where to go to get to the Opera House, and then parked the car, and $75 an hour to park in the vicinity of the Sydney Opera House. Had I known that, had I pre-planned for that, I would have taken transit from the hotel down to where the Sydney Opera House was. 20 minutes down to the Opera House. Hey kids, look, there's the Opera House. Take a couple of pictures. Hey, look, we were at the Opera House, and then walk back up to the car and carry on with our lives. So that's what happens. So parking as well in some of these high tourist attraction areas, ensure that you know how much the parking is going to cost you. So for example, if you're going to the Badlands in South Dakota, how much is it going to cost you to park? How much is it going to cost you to camp there? Same thing as if you're going to the Mount Rushmore, right? How much does it cost to camp there? How much does it cost to park there? So you want to plan accordingly so that, you know, if it's exorbitant to camp there, exorbitant to park there, you're going to need to know that you're going to be there early in the morning, spend a couple hours at Mount Rushmore, and then you're going to drive out and you're going to be 6 hours away from Mount Rushmore to get a hotel. Because if you go in June, July, August, and early September, you're going to pay an exorbitant amount of money for a hotel and those types of things. So take note of all of that when you're planning your trips. Toll roads, you can plan for toll roads. How much is it going to cost you? Are you going to need a pass, an easy pass to get on the toll roads and those types of things? Yes, and toll roads, on the note of toll roads and planning, the 407, stay off the 407 in Ontario because these people have not figured out tolls. And the tolls, 3 years ago, we went to Montreal from my mom's place. We went on the 407. It was $90 west to east, and then coming back east to west. It was $90. So figure how much the toll roads are. And I know for a fact, when I went to New York City early 2020, I didn't get the easy pass for the toll roads in and around New York City, drove to upstate New York and came back. I know that it cost me 3 times the amount of money, as if, you know, trying to save a bit of money and it would have been a lot cheaper had I just got an Easy Pass from the rental place, because I think it was like $40 for the Easy Pass. So just get the Easy Pass, okay? So figure how much the toll roads are going to be and whatnot. Elevator Fan, if you have tolls along your route, check how much the tolls cost. Yes, exactly what Elevator Fan just said there in terms of figuring how much the tolls are going to cost, because it might be a bit of a surprise to you how much those tolls are. If you're planning any trips this summer, let us know down in the comments where you're planning to go, how long the trip is you're going to drive, and what your route is. Any of these issues that we talked about here for long trips, let us know. Reservations for hotels, toll roads, wheelchair accessibility, driving at night, whatnot. So let us know down in the comments. If you have any questions at all about passing a driver's test, let us know. Leave us a comment. Always happy to help out. Thank you so much. Have a great night. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Bye now.